Our adrenaline-filled story starts in an elevator shaft, where some guard enters, only to find a grease-filled repairman. He says the area is restricted, but they called him in, and they didn't contact the guard, so he wants to see a work permit. This might be the UK because that guy gets shanked immediately. Somewhere else, a meeting full of suits just ended, and a lot of them head for the elevator. It's a tall building, so it's going to take a while. That's until someone blows a bomb and the elevator plummets down hard. Screams and panic heard all around, but the elevator's brakes save their sorry behinds. The fire department's called, and then this numbnut cop flies to the scene in his car. He and his buddy gear up and get inside, the SWAT commander telling the building staff to lock down the elevators, and he returns to his team to tell them that the bomber wants $3 million or he blows those emergency brakes.
23 minutes exactly.
They have 23 minutes, or it's curtains for the passengers. If they access the elevator hatches, the bomb will still blow the people to kingdom come. Suddenly, SWAT men Jack Traven and Harry Temple volunteer to examine the device. One team secures the base of the elevator while the other team is set to evacuate. They move out. Harry and Jack reach the 32nd level of the building. They reach the elevator, and from inside that trapped elevator, they can hear drilling.
Hello?
The bomber can also hear the drilling from Jack and Harry. They make sure the area is secure before going down the shaft via ladder. The hostages are begging to be let out. Then Harry whips out his flashlight to look at this explosive device. Jack makes the mistake to announce the LAPD's presence, and this is heard by the bomber.
Pop quiz.
The hostages wonder why the cops were sent, and not just repair guys. Harry and Jack closely examine the C4 wire to the elevator brakes. Harry breaks Jack a pop quiz. Kidnapper takes a hostage near a plane, and he's 100 feet away. What would Jack do? Well, he says shoot the hostage so he could shoot the kidnapper. Truly a psycho answer. Jack also tells Harry that even if they give the bomber what he wants, he's still gonna blow those brakes. Jack and Harry retreat, only for them to reach the top of the building, where they plan to take the hostages out of the equation. They climb up to a crane and slip a metal rope into the vents. They're cutting it close, as they only have 6 minutes.
6 minutes!
While Captain McMahon begs someone on the phone for ransom money, Harry slowly hoists Jack down with a metal hook, and Harry kinda regrets taking this job. They slip the hook in and Jack is hoisted up. The bomber's a little dumbfounded on what the two are doing. He suspects something, so he blows 2 emergency brakes and the elevator plummets before grinding down to a halt again. One woman almost slips out of a hole the elevator caused by the explosion. Jack and Harry rush down. Then the crane holding the elevator breaks, but it gets caught on an iron bar. Jack and Harry racing against time as they go down to the elevator where that elevator is holding on. They open the sliding doors and start helping people out. Gotta hurry because that crane isn't holding well. They manage to get a lot of people out, but one lady's a little too shocked.
I can't!
Jack convinces her and they get her out just in time. Elevator falls to the bottom with a loud destruction. The rest of the SWAT team rush the hostages out of the building, and Harry and Jack take a breather. They mock the bomber that he technically just lost his $3 million, but Jack sniffs out that the bomber might be close by because he blew that elevator up early, meaning he knew they were up to something. Harry's arguing that can't be possible. They evacuated everybody. Everyone but the freight elevators. They rush to the nearest one and the two slowly slide to the top of the elevator. They get ready to breach, but the bomber's one step ahead again and chews him out with a pump-action shotgun. Harry falls from the destruction, but the bomber spares his life. Jack hides from the gunfire. Then the bomber makes the elevator go up. An iron barricade comes up, so Jack has no choice but to jump in and meet the barrel of a shotgun. Luckily, the bomber's out of bullets, Jack holding him at gunpoint, and then the bomber holds them at bomb point. The bomber now calls the shots, so he's going to the 3rd floor, which the SWAT team pick up. The 3 men get off the elevator still at each other's throats.
Shoot the hostage!
And Harry actually tells Jack to shoot him like he said earlier. The bomber lets Harry go and turns the parking lot into a crater. Much later, Harry, Jack, and some other cops are given medals of honor for their bravery in saving 13 people. The only life that ended was the bomber's. Harry's still a bit bitter about the bullet in his leg thanks to Jack, but he did give consent. Harry and Jack are given medals, and then the bomber watching on TV is applauding as well. Soon the 2 cops celebrate with a bunch of other SWAT team members. It was a night of debauchery, with Harry, Jack, and McMahon drinking until Harry says that they were only lucky, so better not let it go to their heads. A day later, this bus driver named Bob meets up with Harry in a diner to congratulate him. He says they partied pretty hard, so he leaves, but then the bus Bob was driving goes up in explosive flames. Jack runs after the doomed wreck, Then the payphone rings nearby. Same bomber from last time is on the other line, asking if Jack picks up all the bus driver's teeth, maybe he'll get another medal. Bomber's pretty angry because that elevator that Jack and Harry stopped, he was apparently working on that for 2 years. Now he wants $3.7 million. The bomber says that he'll rig a bus with a bomb, and the bomb will be more armed once it reaches 50 miles per hour in speed. Either it stays above 50 and keeps all of its hostages in, or it detonates in a large radius. Bomber wants that money by 11 a.m., which is 3 hours from now. And then he doesn't want him to call and gives him the bus's number, 2525. Meanwhile, there's the rigged bus, and this woman named Annie chases after it. Well, she gets on that bus, while Jack drives furiously looking for this thing. This guy keeps on nagging her, so Annie fakes a story having gum on her seat so she can move away from this guy.
Morning.
Soon the bus reaches the highway while Jack is driving like a maniac to catch it. The bus is within his reach, so he takes it by foot and loudly asks to get on the bus, but it's not a bus stop, and Annie suggests to Sam, the bus driver, otherwise. He loses the bus and comes up with the next brilliant idea: Grand Theft Auto. Seriously, holding this guy at gunpoint so he can just hijack the ride while this dude is still in it. At the highway stretch, the bus is nearly reaching 50 miles per hour, so once again Jack racing against time. Well, he gets to the bus, but it's too late because it's armed and primed. He's shouting at the driver that he's a cop and there's a bomb on the bus. Bus driver couldn't hear what sales pitch he had, so he just, opened that window. Try as Jack might, the driver's ear canals are filled with pilk, so he asks the car's owner to write on it. Well, he does, but he loses that paper. Luckily, it flies right into the bus's shield. The driver reads this and begins to slow down. Looks like Jack forgot to tell him about the bomb's conditions. And right before the entire bus takes the road to AC/DC, Jack asks the driver to open the door and then instructs the driver to just stay above 50.
Above 50!
Jack then asks the car's owner to call Harry, which he immediately tells him Killer Queen is back in town to blow it all up. Right on time, Captain McMahon comes in from the bus explosion incident and he's looking for Jack, which Harry immediately informs him. Jack asks if the car's insured, and the owner gives him the yes.
Yeah!
So he immediately drives and brakes. This tears off the door and asks the owner to take the car back. He takes the leap of faith and succeeds. The owner sadly crashes safely to some water containers, probably going to tear out his insurance. Jack instructs more to the driver about the bomb, and then Annie gets fidgety and interrupts him, but he strongly advises her to just sit down as he explains this situation.
Ma'am, please!
Then some lunatic with a revolver aims for Jack, so he aims back. He says the situation is bigger than whatever crime the lunatic ever did, so he lowers his gun, and just as he was about to lower his, Numbnuts grapples him. Their struggle makes the loony shoot Sam. Annie takes over for Sam as he's heavily injured, and Jack cuffs the loony. Annie wants to just slow down, but Jack drops the ball that the bus is rigged to blow. He helps out Sam with his wound, and Annie's reassuring Jack that she can handle driving the bus above 50. Coincidentally, Annie admits that she originally was taking the bus because she got her license taken away for speeding.
Is that my driver's license revoked?
Jack then calls the force, then they scramble choppers to their locations. The bomber's keeping tabs with Jack's progress via the local news. Harry then instructs Jack to check their inner mechanisms for any bomb wires, but no luck. Can't exactly go below the bus to check since it's moving, but Sam tells him that there's an access panel to it. He's asking some guy to talk to Harry for him while he checks. Then he finds the bomb. He was about to try to disarm it, but Harry says that's a classic decoy. He checks some more and finds that there's enough C4 on the bus that could blow them all to the Stone Age. Jack also adds that the timer is a gold watch for some reason. Annie panics. Officer! Because they're approaching heavy traffic. This movie just turned into Burnout 3 because there's collateral damage everywhere while those passengers hold on for dear life. Luckily, they get to a more free open road and everything calms down for now. The bomber monitors the bus via computer radar, and then back at the station, Harry doesn't seem to find out the reason on why the bomb uses a gold watch. The bomber seems to be a total savant for explosives. Then Harry hatches the idea to look at some cops' old files. The cap is telling Jack that they're trying to clear the roads for him, and then Annie's forced to drive in another lane to dodge a truck. She dodges some more cars here and there and gets back on the right lane. The cap then directs Jack and the bus to an empty freeway just a few miles down. Too bad Annie hits a baby on the way. Nah, it's just some crazy woman with some cans. And then she almost hits some kids too. Soon a police escort arrives, and the cap says there's gonna be a hard turn. So Jack instructs everyone to stay on the right side of the bus so it won't tip over. Great success. McMahon and his chopper stayed close to escort the bus onto an empty freeway. Soon they land and assemble the team for duty. Back at the bus, smooth sailing thanks to the empty freeway. Jack and Annie have a little small talk on what the bomber's motives are, turning into an excuse to flirt. Some cops look into the other cop files for the bomber, but Harry has some new instructions. Check the pension fund. In the bus chase, the Cap and the Force want to evacuate people, but Jack tells him what'll happen if he does that. Just in the nick of time, the bomber calls for Jack. The bomber has an eye on the sky, and then Jack begs him to let just Sam off since he's slowly going dry. The bomber agrees, but if Jack crosses him, it's going to be a nuclear winter. Jack then asks Ortiz to help with unloading Sam to the cops, and he struggles to keep the bus stable to hand off Sam, but they eventually get him. The old schizo Helen tries to sneak out, so she and only she gets blown off. Anyone else? Well, the passengers start arguing on who gets to live, but Jack diffuses all of that with just a hey. He reassures Annie that she should be glad to still be alive. I mean, Annie isn't as dumb as Helen. Totally deserved that fall, by the way. Suddenly, one of the cops notifies the Cap that the freeway isn't finished. They have 3 miles left, so the Cap tells them they're going to encounter a 50-foot gap. Jack informs everyone. And his best advice? When in doubt, flat out and floor it. Jack braces the passengers. Then the police convoy disperses. They watch this bus gain speed, and Jack is asking everyone to just brace themselves. The bus soars through like Jordan, and they make it. Cheers all around, even from the cop team. The celebration is short-lived though when Jack instructs Annie to drive to the airport. Then they pop a tire without knowing it. The captain and his troops are in pursuit. Then some more policemen come to secure the scene. The bomber calls again, reminding him about even if they follow the rules, he still wants the money. And since the cops think the bomber is full of BS, Jack is asking the bomber to get off the bus to negotiate with the cops so he could give him a small window of time, but nothing tricky now, Jackie boy. He tells everyone, then he talks to the captain. Jack tells him that they're left with no choice but to dismantle the bomb. Soon a tow truck with Jack on it gets in front of him, and it looks like Jack will attempt to get below the bus with a very low cart. Annie has to keep the bus steady as Jack gets defusal intel from Harry. It's time to pick a wire. Harry says to peel the wire skin, but not to cut the wire itself. The bus tire falls off, but it's still going strong. Harry's instructing Jack to do a little rewiring, but it could blow. And speaking of blow, here's your bomber, Mr. Howard Payne, a retired bomb squad member. They got their source, so Jack is off the hook from under the bus. Sadly, literally. He's holding on for dear life as he tries not to get run over. The car breaks and he's left clinging by stabbing the gas tank. Ortiz tries to dismantle his way under to rescue him. They see him and all pull him up safely. They start celebrating, but they've got a new dilemma. Gas leak. He tells the Cap to get a fuel truck or they explode. Somewhere else in the suburbs, the SWAT infiltrates what looks to be Howard Payne's estate. They search his house, and sadly they're blown away like a sheer heart attack. Someone calls Jack, and it's Payne. He grovels at the fact that he knows the watch led the cops to him. He instructs to bring the money in a garbage can by 11 o'clock, and then they can all get lost, or he starts popping fireworks. The call ends and Jack lets out a fury in a fit. Then Annie calms him down.
Please, alright?
It's okay, Jackie. Take a minute, catch your breath, it was your boy. Then Jack finds a camera rigged to the whole bus. That's how Payne has been seeing everything from minute one. This is true as Payne is laughing at their footage and the news of the situation. Jack relays this to everyone and the captain, and tries to get the news van to relay on the bus's live stream. And it works. Jack instructs everyone to look natural. Then the plan is to tap the footage and play it on repeat. They're running out of fuel, so they make the footage live. A rescue bus is on the way and Jack and the other cops slowly but surely assist and evacuate the passengers out of that bus. Just as that last passenger got off, the tire blew. Annie's losing steering control. Jack rushes in to help her. Jack then ties that steering wheel so it can maintain itself, and he uses one of the bus's panels as a sled so that he and Annie can get off. The town slips out of there safely, but then it looks like the bus heads for a courier plane. It hits and boom goes the dynamite. Call Michael Bay. That's a fiery mess. Jack reassures Annie that it's finally over, so they take the time to flirt. Then the cavalry arrive at their spot and see this fiery mess of a plane from the massive explosion. The captain comes by, smiles, and offers Jack the rest of the day off. Then Jack introduces them to each other. Annie has a bit of a wound and so does Jack, so they get cleaned and patched up. One of the coppers runs to the captain and he asks him, when will Payne get his money? Jack arrives at the conclusion that Payne doesn't know it blew up. Soon, coppers rush to a town square, and Jack and Annie are hauled off in an ambulance. The SWAT team gets ready for the last cleanup of the day, and then Jack runs off with them, while Annie stays in that ambulance. They rig that garbage can with the SWAT watching from everywhere, but Payne sees through this deception. He takes a look at that live stream and finds out that the footage is looped. Payne steps out and, ding ding ding, he finds Annie. Jack noticing she's late, so there's something fishy going on. Jack turns on the rigged suitcase and it's on the move, meaning he's on the move, so Jack goes through the hole in the dumpster. Jack gets in the hole and finds someone, so it's gunpoint time.
Turn around.
Too bad that someone is Annie rigged with a heap of C4. And just like that, Annie's really screwed up. Their date's gonna be canceled by Payne, who steps into that scene. It's all back to square one. Payne wants that money. And then he goes on a rant about the purpose of bombs. Then the two get off and they go into the subway to hijack a train. And Payne cuffs Annie to a pole. Jack's in close pursuit as he grabs onto the train and forces one of the doors open. Payne needs to take the reins of the train, so he lets Annie hold on. And as he's shooting the gallbladders out of the poor train conductor, Jack soon crawls on top of the train's roof. But Payne hears him. He tries to offer him a bribe. But as soon as he opens the sack, a rigged ink explosion fires.
My money!
And his cash becomes paperweight. Angry at this, Payne opens fire on his MP5K. But all that firing just causes Jack to lose his gun. Soon, Payne's crawling up to the roof for one final boss fight, and the two struggle like they're in a Black Friday sale, Payne getting the upper hand. That's until he gets too ahead of himself and Jack wins. Luckily, the bomb was an easy defusal, and the Cap radios him. He warns him the track isn't finished, and since they can't stop the train, they gotta jump off. Jack has to free Annie. No real luck, trying to catch lightning in a bottle twice by speeding up the train to jump the curb. After that, they're left to share a hug, hoping they'll survive. Train comes and goes off course, gets slowed down and bursts out of the subway. The two are safe. People are watching Jack. What'd you guys think about this explosive movie? Go ahead and let us know in the comments below using that hashtag Cinema Recap. This was Speed by the Mark Gordon Company, starring Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and Sandra Bullock. Till that next explosive game, see you later.